We're at Survivor Series and we kick off the show in a banging way. And beginning the show and beginning WarGames is the model master of the structure, Io Sky. She's been in every female iteration of WarGames, but can that experience push her team forward to victory? Well, Io is confident, that's why she started the match, but who will join her? Well, Sky entering the structure, her first challenge reveals herself to be a long-time enemy. It's the Women's Speed Champion. The two workhorses of the match are starting things off. Io loves this, and Candice walks down to the ring, disgusted by Io's presence. And with her entering WarGames and the door being slammed shut, the match begins, and both women just stare whole through one another. The animosity between the two is on full display with just a simple stare, but Io begins walking towards the middle of the ring, and taunts at Lorraine, and Lorraine charges at her, and the fight is on, and they don't skip a beat, they go 100 miles an hour just like their encounter on Speed, but Io is getting on top, and she throws Candice onto a steel plate in between the two rings before joining her. It's a precarious position for both women to be in, and Candice manages to hit a lucky shot before nailing a spine-tingling DDT onto the steel. Io is writhing around in pain, but Lorraine doesn't let up as she throws her into the other ring before using the structure to her advantage. She smashes her into the steel over and over whilst taunting to the crowd. Io needs help, but she can't get it. She has the disadvantage, so she has to fend off Lorraine and whoever will join the match next. And that woman is Raquel Rodriguez, another one of Io Sky's NXT rivals. It's not looking good for the leader of Damage Control, and that thought is amplified when Raquel grabs a table and puts it into the ring. But she isn't done, as she grabs another table and puts it into the squared circle. And lastly, she grabs a kendo stick before she enters WarGames. And as soon as she enters the ring, she makes an immediate impact as she assaults Io Sky after she took out Candice LeRae. But as LeRae beats down Io, Raquel sets up a table and gloats about it. Io could be done already, and she desperately attempts to stop the inevitable as she drapes Candice across the ropes. Although as soon as she does this, Raquel does the same to her. But she can't take advantage as Io manages to connect a diving dropkick. However, she can only take out Candice, and she finds out her mistake very quickly as Raquel manhandles her. But she won't quit. She fights against a much larger athlete, although all her momentum is snuffed out with one vicious swing of a kendo stick by the Women's Speed Champion. And then Candice gets the idea. She's going to put Io through the table, but Io gets out of it and then connects a back suplex. Although as she gets up, she gets annihilated by Raquel Rodriguez. Io needs help, and backup finally arrives for Io Sky as Naomi enters the steel structure for the first time in her career, and she starts off feisty. She grabs a kendo stick before going after Candice LeRae, then taking out Raquel Rodriguez all in one fell swoop. But the best spot of the match occurs following this as Io Sky springboards from one ring to another and drop kicks Raquel. The babyfaces are getting the upper hand, as with Naomi swinging a kendo stick like there's no tomorrow onto Raquel, Io manages to connect the double knees into the corner onto Candice. But now Tiffany Stratton enters a fray for her first WarGames match similar to Naomi. And again similar to Naomi, she's a force to be reckoned with, as she aids Candice in attacking Io Sky. But Io once again won't quit. She fights on no matter what, but Candice shuts her down as she plants Io with a bulldog, which puts her through the table. Io is done, and with Raquel suplexing Naomi, Candice LeRae nails a poison rana onto Io, which occurs on the table rubble. The heels are in control. Raquel even manages to put Naomi through the other table. Naomi and Io are getting completely overrun, but to equal the playing field is none other than one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, Bianca Belair, and she brings some toys with her as she puts her chair into the ring along with a trash can, and to top it all off, she brings in another table, although that table is her own undoing as Tiffany grabs it and smashes it across the EST of WWE. But it's now a fair 3-on-3 fight, there's no excuses, and eventually the babyface trio completely overwhelm the heels. Io even manages to connect a moonsault onto Tiffany Stratton, whilst Bianca Belair unbelievably hits a stalling suplex onto Raquel. It's a huge feat of raw power by Belair, but the heels fight back, with a big part of the fight coming from Candice LeRae, who grabs the trash can and uses it on whoever she can get her hands on. But now it's time for Nia to enter the structure, and from here, the heels dominate. They're controlling every aspect of the match, and on top of that, it's 4-on-3. It's an uphill battle for the faces to climb, but Nia wants to take that fight as she hits anything that moves, although she gets shut down by the much fresher Nia Jax. Although after this, the babyfaces start fighting back. Naomi, Bianca and Io won't give up without a fight. Io Sky even manages to get revenge on Candice for the DDT on the steel in between the ring as she nails her own onto the Women's Speed Champion. but now the numbers are even once again as Jade Cargill goes to war. All that's left is Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and as soon as Jade enters war, she pounces Candice, which almost sends her out the cage. And on top of this, with the power of the Hulk, Bianca Belair lifts Nia up and plants her with a KOD. It's carnage wherever you turn, it's chaos wherever you look, but that's what WarGames is all about. And with that said, things only continue to escalate to madness. Io manages to connect the Hurricanrana onto the other Iron Woman of the match, and on top of that, Jade Cargill puts Raquel Rodriguez through the table. How could things escalate from here? Well, that question may just be answered as it's now time for the Women's World Champion to enter the battlefield, but she doesn't want to. She just stays on the outside until the heels get back on top, and once she enters the match, she goes right after Io Sky, as she manages to connect in Oblivion before just beating down her future challenger. And on top of this, Raquel Rodriguez and Candice LeRae team up on Jade Cargill, whilst Nia targets Bianca and Tiffany targets Naomi. It's looking bleak for the babyfaces. That is until the final woman of the match enters the war zone. WarGames has officially begun, and Rhea goes right after Liv Morgan, but now that the numbers are even, there's no one to save her. She's all alone against Mommy, and she gets decimated. Rhea is all over Liv, and the babyfaces are starting to get on top. Io Sky even manages to connect a moonsault onto Candice LeRae, which takes her out, and from there, Liv tries to escape. She's going to try to forfeit the match, but Rhea won't let that happen, as she joins Liv at the top of the structure. Liv wants none of it, but Rhea doesn't care. Liv is done, and from there, the rest of the team crumbles. Raquel gets nailed with Jaded, Bianca impressively nails yet another KOD onto Nia, Naomi even hits a Canadian Destroyer onto Tiffany Stratton, which pops the Canadian crowd, and Rhea is looking to finish the job on Liv, but Io does just that, as she nails a moonsault onto Liv and unbelievably pins the champion. Team Rhea wins. Everyone loves this, but after the match, whilst the Women's Tag Team Champions and Naomi go to the back, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley stare holes for each other. Just like how WarGames began, Io stares one of her past rivals down. There's a lot of baggage there, although nothing comes of it as Rhea walks to the back. Is this setting the seeds for a future match? Well, we're just gonna have to wait and see.